To finish off this inventory series, let's make something like this. A shop where we can say, hey, I want to buy a certain amount of items, and then it subtracts them from this inventory and puts them into this inventory, and we can select any slot in either inventory that we want to either buy or sell things, and we are not allowed to drag and drop within these inventories. We're going to split this up into two parts. One part is going to be the setting up of the selection of the inventory slots, and then the next part is going to be the actual buying and selling mechanic. Since this is the last thing that we're doing in this series, there will be only one link down below in the description, which will just be the finished project, which is up for download for YouTube members and Patreons. Doing a per episode upload for this one doesn't make a lot of sense, because after this we'll be finished. And I'm not going to be uploading half a progress update. So let's get started on making the shop inventory. The easiest way to do that is to use the chest that we have made before and duplicate that to be the basis for the shop, because we need two inventory slots just like we do with the chest. Now, in the shop itself, we're not actually going to be doing that much different here today. That's mostly going to be the next part where we do the actual shopping calculation stuff. So let's open up the other classes that we're going to be working in today as well, which will be our item grid, our item slots, and we'll go back into our content folder here and open up our inventory component as well, just in case we need it. Again, don't mind all of this mess in the project download that will be down below in the description. This will all be cleaned up and much more neatly organized. So first things first, coming into the item grid, we're going to be adding a couple of variables to this. And number one will be allow drag. This will tell whether or not we're allowed to drag and drop within this inventory or not. Then we will do allow select, which does something similar, but for click selecting. And while we're at it, we might as well also make our selected index variable, which is going to keep track of which inventory slots we have selected in this inventory. That will of course be an integer. Because once we have done that and we go back into our shop, what we can do is we can select these item grids that we have in here. And now we'll be able to see that we don't want to allow drag, but we do want to allow select. So let's set allow select to true for both. And now that I think about it, it's probably a good idea to set allow drag to be true by default, because most of the inventories we do want to be able to drag and drop around. So we set that to true by default and then select them to false in our actual shop window here. But those values in and of themselves aren't going to do too much. So the way we're going to use the allow drag rule, let's do that first, is coming up into our item slots, which is this widget, if you remember correctly. Into our graph, we're also going to add in a allow drag into here, which will also be a boolean, which this one will be exposed and also exposed on spawn, because we're going to be setting this every time we spawn one of these in. Then coming into our mouse on preview mouse button down. This is our drag and drop operation starts here. With either left click or right click, this is how we start our drag and drop operation. So let's get our allow drag and put this into a branch node. And only if we are allowed to drag in this item slot will we start our drag and drop operation to begin with. If this is set to false, we won't even bother setting any of this up, because we're not going to be allowed to drag and drop anyway. Now, with allow drag being an exposed on spawn value, we can come back into the item grid here, and you can already see that allow drag is now one of the pins. If it's not, what you can do is you can just refresh node and it should show up. So we'll simply set allow drag to be equal to the allow drag of the item grid itself. So now every time a item slot spawns in, it's going to copy over the allow drag value from the grid that it spawned inside. And we can quite easily test this out if we were to make a shop. So let's also do that for testing purposes. We can just copy over the blueprint for the chest, because it's going to be very, very similar. So let's call that blueprint shop. And in the viewport, just to differentiate them, I'm going to set this to the same material that I did in the preview at the beginning of the video, the hex tiles. You can do whatever you want. Realistically, this would be an entirely separate static mesh. But in the event graph, we, instead of creating a chest inventory widget, what we'll do is we will create a shop widget. And then the chest UI variable that we have here will also change over to a shop widget variable. That does make a couple of nodes in another function misbehave. We'll worry about that in a moment. We can now reconnect these up, and just to keep things tidy, let's rename this shop UI. Coming into our interface here, on our uninteracted, we have this node here, which is trying to still use our shop UI and our chest UI and everything, but it's not really going all that well. So let's remove that and re-import it. We can just add to viewport, that's not a problem. This one we won't be able to connect up because it's trying to run a function on the chest widget class, which this is not a chest widget, but our shop UI has the exact same function, so we can just run that. Don't forget to put the widget in focus to be our shop UI, and then everything should now work. So we have our shop interactable, and we can, if we just open this up a little bit, create an inventory component, which we can just inventory constructor. We can like add a rock to it, and let's say stack size is 20 for this rock. Pick up the sword as well, why not? And if I go into this chest over here now, you can see that we can't drag and drop these items around. If I close chest, this will be called close shop in a moment. Go into my own inventory, here I can still drag and drop them around. So we've now disabled dragging and dropping on only the shop, because again, in the chest, I can still drag and drop all I like. Now, dragging and dropping has been disabled in the shop, but now we need to enable the selection, the left click selection of the slots, like I showed you in the beginning of the video. And that's where the real stuff gets started. So let's get into that. And the place that we're going to start that off is in the item slot itself, because obviously we need to be able to click on these things to make them selectable. And this is one of the reasons that we started out way in the first few parts of this series with a button on this UI, so it's clickable easily. We've already used the button behavior to make it display a border on hovering over them. Clicking is going to be the other thing we use this button for. So select the button up here and add a unclicked event, and we'll just pull that up to be in the same area as the other two button related events. And all this is really going to do is it's going to call an event dispatcher. So let's make one and call that on button pressed. And let's just add a call to that. Now, so far, all of the event dispatchers that we've used just send out a message that they have been called, that the button has been pressed in this case. But now we actually need to send through information to everybody listening in on that as well, which is interesting. So you can actually make event dispatchers use the signature, which is just the set of parameters from any other function on this class or any other event. So let's make a custom event, and we're not actually going to be adding any code in this. We're just making this custom event to have a signature to copy from. So we call it like on selected or something like that. And here we just add in a input. We'll call that index, doesn't really matter. Will be an integer. Now, you probably want to compile this, and then coming back to your event dispatcher, you can choose the copy signature from, and there we can find somewhere in here on selected. And the moment I press that, you'll see that on button pressed, that call now has a integer parameter to go with it. Now, the integer parameter is actually pretty easy to get a hold of because we have the inventory slot value, and we can split that structure up in, and that just has an index. We put that in somewhere else in the code, so we already have easy, quick access to that. And while we're in this item slot, we also want to do something else, because we've got these two little hover things, on hover and on unhover, which create those little yellow borders around our item slots image. We only want to do that if this is not currently the selected item slots, because if it is a selected item slot, we're going to put another border around it, and we don't want that to be overridden by the yellow border, or when we move away from it, to be just the default inventory slot image. So what we'll do is we'll also add a variable here, a bool, called simply isSelected. And we'll use this value in a couple of other places as well. And simply what we're going to do is we're only going to allow these set brush from textures if isSelected is false. So if it's an unselected slot, it will display those yellow borders or no border at all. If it is a selected slot, we'll just ignore everything to do with this because it's going to have a different border to begin with. And that'll be it for now for the inventory slot itself. So let's go back to our item grid, because this is where the interesting stuff comes in. We want to go on our update item grid here and move things around a little bit, because we're going to be putting some extra stuff in between there in a moment. We also want to find our event construct, which is down here, and move that into a place where we also can start adding some more stuff to it, because we're gonna need to in a moment. So in here, we want to check if we're allowed to select slots in this inventory. You will note that I have two different bools for allow drag and allow select. Realistically, that could be one bool where you just check, hey, if we're allowed to drag, do the drag functionality. If we're not allowed to drag, then we'll just add in the select functionality. For ease of reading, I made this into two bools, but do be aware that you probably can get away with just doing this as one, because you're hardly ever going to want an inventory where you can both drag and drop and also select slots, because those things are probably going to clash anyway. If allow selected is false, we just immediately move on to add child to wrap box. But if that is true, we actually want to put in a little something else. This thing here creates a item slot widget, and we've just made a event dispatcher on that, so we can assign to on button pressed, which will immediately also make us a event to go with that. And you will note that the event has the index parameter, just like the signature we gave it. And this is an important thing to realize. We can just add a different custom event if we want to, but we won't be able to add that to this event dispatcher because it doesn't match the signature. We need to have it match the signature. So we need to have a integer parameter, and when it matches that signature, we can then assign it to that event dispatcher. That is quite important to realize. And we'll just hook that up if allow selected is true, which means that this blueprint is now going to look out for every single on button pressed event on every single item slot. And whenever any one of them triggers, it's going to run this event with the corresponding index number. Now let's get our wrap box. And from that, we can use the getChildAt function, which takes in an index and returns us the widget element at that index. So naturally, we want to get the child at the index that is being passed in, but we also want to get one of these where we get the child at whatever is our currently selected index, because we need to turn on anything related to being selected on the thing that we just pressed, but it also means that whatever was selected beforehand, we need to turn things off on. So both of these are going to need to be cast to WBP item slots, because that is what these are going to always be anyway. So let's add two of them, one for the thing that we just clicked on and one for the last active. And here we want to, for both of them, get the image border that we added to it, as well as a set is selected node. So what we'll do is we'll set is selected to true for the thing that we just clicked on, and we will set the border with a set brush from texture to whatever brush you might have for the selected highlighted. I have a new separate image for that, which is inventory slot 3. And that is just the same inventory slot again, but this time with a pink reddish border. So let's connect all of those up, and then we'll do the same thing for the second item slot. Again, the item slot that was the last active one. And we'll actually do that first. And the reason for that is in this, we want to check first is selected. We only want to turn this one off if it was selected to begin with. If it wasn't selected in the first place, of course, we don't want to turn it off. So if selected is false, we immediately go into just turning on the other one. But if selected is true, the first thing we do is we set is selected to false, because that's what we're doing here. And then we'll also get the image border from this one. So get image border, and we will set brush from texture. And this is going to set the brush to the normal inventory slot unselected texture. And once it has done that, it's also going to move on to setting the other one to being true. Once we've changed all of these things, finally then we can set our new selected index to whatever thing we just clicked on. So add a selected index setting node, and we can just set that to whatever inputs this event has. Once everything has been updated, we have the newly selected slot, then we're going to need to recalculate how much our potential transaction is going to cost. And we're going to make sure that we aren't trying to buy more items than are in stock in the shop, that kind of thing. So we need to recalculate those things. So we need an event dispatcher whenever we select a new slot. So we'll say on new slot selected. And for this one, we don't really need any parameters. So no signature need to be copied. We just need to call this event dispatcher for future use. And that really should be all there is to it. So let's open up the inventory here and see, can we select slots? We definitely can. And we can easily select slots in either of these inventories. So that is the most important basics of selecting slots in the inventories that we can use for a thing like a shop. Now, next time we're going to use these selected slots as a vital piece of information in calculating the transaction value and actually transacting those items and the money involved, which we don't even have money yet in the game. But that's an entirely separate thing in and of itself. So next time, the final part of the inventory series, and then we'll finally be finished with all of it. This project up to date to this point, as well as the finished project where everything is commented and cleaned up as far as like blueprints go, will be down below in the description for all of the patrons and YouTube members to download. And for the full course, if you're watching this in the future, it should be all up on the YouTube channel already. But if you're watching this shortly after it was uploaded, there will be a link down below in the description to the Patreon where you can find the full course, plus a little bonus episode where we go over and change some things to make some alternative ways to interact with the inventory, which will be a Patreon exclusive episode. And a very big thank you to all of my Patreons. You can see them on screen right now. If you want to help out supporting the channel, there's a link down below in the description to the Patreon page. And a special thanks to my Cave Digger tier Patreons, Sir J. Thomas,